We often think of the Earth as being incredibly big. Think how many houses are in your town or city, how many cities and towns are in your country, and how many countries there are in the world. And every single house and every single person has their own individual unique address, so you can send a piece of mail or a letter to them. And we don't often go all the way up to Earth when we go to our address. The country is normally the largest thing we go up to. But imagine an alien on a planet on the other side of the universe wanted to send us a letter. What would our address be? We can't just write Earth. What would our address in the universe be? So where do we start with our galactic postal address? Well, obviously you want your address on Earth, so you want your road name and your city and your postcode and your country, and you want planet Earth. But what's the next step after this? Well, a reasonable thing may be to put down the name of our closest star, the Sun. The Sun is the big star at the centre of our solar system, and it's so bright that it can be seen for millions and millions of miles away. In fact, with a good enough telescope, you may be able to see the Sun from any other place within our galaxy. Now, this obviously means it can be really easy to find within the galaxy, whereas the Earth is rather dim. You have to be very, very close to our solar system to be able to see the Earth. So the Sun is like a beacon shining across the galaxy, showing aliens where we are in our universe. So the Sun is a reasonable place to start with our galactic address. So what next? Well, you can describe the position of our star, the Sun, in relation to other nearby stars. There are a lot of stars nearby. You could draw a kind of map to show where our star is in relation to these. Or you could describe where our star is, and it's in something called the local interstellar cloud. This is a large cloud of gas, and our star appears to be the only one within this giant cloud. But it's also approaching another nearby cloud of gas called the G cloud, and in here are a lot of the other nearby stars to us. So perhaps the next line of our address could be the local interstellar cloud nearby to the G cloud. Zooming out, our star cluster is one of millions in one of the spiral arms of our galaxy, the Milky Way. The Milky Way is a spiral galaxy. It has a big bulge of stars at the centre and lots of spiral arms of gas and dust coming out from the centre. And in these spiral arms, stars are constantly being formed. And there are many of these different arms, and the arm that we're in is called the Orion Arm. So we can put this down as the next stage of our address. We are in the Orion Arm of our galaxy, the Milky Way. Now, just as our star, the Sun, is part of a large group of stars, our galaxy, the Milky Way, is also part of a group of galaxies, something called the local group. And in our local group, there is us, the Milky Way, our nearest neighbour Andromeda, and another galaxy called the Triangulum Galaxy. There's lots of other smaller galaxies as well, of all different shapes and sizes, lots of dwarf galaxies. Galaxies like the large and small Magellanic Clouds you might have heard of. And all our galaxies together make up the local group. So this must be the next line on our address. We are all part of the local group. And our local group of galaxies are all part of a supercluster of galaxies known as the Virgo supercluster, which in turn is part of an even larger cluster of galaxies called the Laniakea supercluster. Now this contains hundreds of thousands of galaxies, all orbiting with each other, all being drawn towards a single point in space, something called the Great Attractor. And this is a large gravitational force that's pulling all these galaxies towards this point, and there's a large mass here. We don't know what this large mass is, but it's tens of thousands of times larger than our very own Milky Way. In the Laniakea supercluster, there are hundreds of thousands of galaxies all moving towards a single point in space. So what comes after our large cluster of galaxies? Well, there are hundreds of thousands of galaxy clusters, all spread through a large-scale structure throughout the universe. And this looks like a large spider's web, where all the galaxies are along the long strands of this spider web stretching throughout the universe. We can describe where we are in relation to other galaxy clusters, but it's hard to pinpoint exactly where we are in the universe. Then again, a lot of people also think there are many universes out there, possibly an infinite number of universes. So how do we describe which one of these we're in? And we don't even know if there are more than one universe. So beyond this level, it gets rather hazy for what our address could be. But perhaps we can just say, overall, we are in our universe. So here we have it, our address to pinpoint our position in the universe. We begin with our address down here on Earth, and then we have the Earth and the Sun. And our Sun is within the local interstellar cloud, which is part of the Orion Arm within our Milky Way. We're all part of the local group of galaxies, which in turn is part of the Virgo supercluster, which in turn again is part of the Laniakea supercluster. And finally, we are all part and within our universe. So this is our final universal address. So hopefully that puts into perspective our place in the universe and everything around us. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave comments and I'll try and get back to you. You can follow me on Twitter at UKAstroNut. But otherwise, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you all soon.